I'm a chick dressing up as a dude who wants to be a chick.
The movie begins with this whole white horse nonsense, and it is interesting because, yeah, visually, it's cool. You see the white horse. This has never been done in a Halloween movie before, yeah. But at the same time, I'm saying this is unnecessary for a Michael Myers film. This is some Friday the 13th crap. Like, Jason is the one who is supposed to be possessed by the orders from his mom, not Michael. Then we pick up 15 years later after the ending events of the first Rob Zombie Halloween film, and I'm into it so far. I love the atmosphere, I love the tone of it, I love the musical score in this moment, and the acting performances from Brad Dourif, who plays Sheriff Brackett, and Scout Taylor Compton, who plays Laurie Strode, are phenomenal. So then we have this weird scene with the two paramedics, and they're in this van and they're driving, and one of the paramedics is talking about having sex with corpses, and then they hit a cow, and then it feels like it's going on forever. Like, the one paramedic is constantly screaming for help. No, first he says the F word like so many times. And then Michael comes out of the back of the van and he cuts dude's head off, and then you see a beautiful image of the white horse in the moonlight, and it's a beautiful image. It looks like a work of art. But this is not Michael. This is Friday the 13th. Then we cut to a hospital sequence, which is really good. We have the Moody Blues playing on the TV, which makes everything eerie. And then Octavia Spencer walks out all weird, and she starts screaming. Then Michael walks out, and he's just like raging and stabbing. Shit is really extreme. I've never heard Michael grunt before like this. It's kind of scary. Then there is a really nice section in this film where Laurie runs out into this nice thunderstorm, and she runs into this shack, and then this dude who I remember from The Fugitive shows up. And I've only met him in this film for like 2 seconds, and his name is Buddy, and I love him. And yeah, Michael's mask looks cool in the rain. It was all a dream.
Last night I had a dream, thoughts was racing through my head.
It was all a dream.
Felt so real to me.
Look at that shit.
After suffering from the events of the first Rob Zombie Halloween film, Laurie Strode has become a completely different person. She's got Charles Manson posters all over her bed, and she's just completely changed.
Rough night? Do you hear me? Just a little.
One day at a time, babe.
One day at a time. One fucking day at a time. Boo fucking who for you?
I do enjoy this aspect of the film, and I wish that these two actresses played a bigger role together within this film.
I don't fucking care. I don't understand, Laurie. What? Huh? The fuck are you gonna do? You know what? You act like you're the only one whose life got fucking trashed.
Today we'd make a scene that's very happy, beautiful little scene with a lot of color in it.
I mean, it's Halloween, and Halloween is a big trigger point for you, isn't it? I mean, he's objectively dead, but he's living in your mind, and he's living in your heart and your emotions. How's your relationship with Annie going?
She's a constant reminder.
I get this 0 to 100 rage, and I just want to go up to her, and I just want to. What is that?
That's whatever you think it is what that is.
They're talking about Michael and about how his body hasn't been found, yada yada yada, white horse on the wall.
Great stuff.
Then we catch up with Dr. Loomis, who is played by Malcolm McDowell, and Malcolm McDowell is really hammering it up here in these sequences.
You are quite an odd one, aren't you? I mean, look at you. Are you color coordinated? What pink clogs and this orange thing? What are you, a clam digger or something? And I don't mean that in the lesbian sense.
Then we see Laurie Strode at her day job, and we meet her two friends. So then we have this pretty good scene where Loomis goes on stage and he says some shit and he quotes some shit, and then people ask him some questions and then he answers the questions, and they're like, is Michael still alive? And he's like, Michael's dead, but then it's like they never found his body, and so then it's like, this shit makes no sense.
Michael Myers is fucking dead.
These eyes do not see what you and I see.
The same thing, man. The same thing.
I think you can all see quite clearly here that
The same thing.
The doctor involved. I think he wrote a book or something. Fucking Blood Money.
Yeah, I read that book. It was a masterpiece.
Then we get some shit we've never seen in any of these Halloween movies, but it's very artistic. It's very artistically shot. Like, the cinematography in these scenes are very beautiful. It's some fucking live painting shit. And then we get another interesting thing that's never been done in a Halloween movie is Michael Myers speaks to his dead mother, but he channels that through his spirit as a young Michael Myers. And it's clever because you don't have grown Michael Myers speaking because nobody wants to see that. So you have him channel that through young Michael. That's clever. But, dude, this is some fucking Friday the 13th shit right here. This is not Michael Myers to me. What the hell, man? Like, what are you doing? Like, why? Then we get some shit where Michael is being bullied again, like he was in the first film, man. But this time he retaliates and he channels his power with the mask because he puts it on, and it's beautifully shot. And you know, Michael, he goes to town on these two fools, and it's kind of sad at the same time because he kills this innocent woman, and then he goes and eats this dog in this kind of nice little sequence where Laurie, she doesn't want to eat meat, and so she starts eating this pizza, and that's when this film kind of initiates this whole telepathic connection between Michael and Laurie, where while he's eating the dog, Laurie can like sense that he's eating the meat while she's eating her pizza.
Okay.
Then we get some really nice images where people complain and say, oh, it feels like a music video. I mean, yeah, it does, but it's cool. This has never been, like, when I first saw this, I was like, this has never been, like, done in a Halloween movie before. This feels authentic. This feels original. And it kind of makes sense because it's like Michael and Laurie have a psychic link, their family, and then the mom somehow, her spirit connects the two of them, and you know, these images they're nice, you know, it's fine. One of the problems that I do have with this film is I think that there should have been more scenes between Laurie, Loomis, and Brackett. I feel like their history after the events of the first film could have been further explored here, because there's a scene where Loomis goes to the Myers house, and that entire time I didn't even know he was in Haddonfield until he went to the Myers house. And I'm thinking, okay, Brackett's the sheriff. Brackett clearly doesn't like Loomis, and so you would think that Brackett would go wherever Loomis is and try to harass him in order to get him the hell out of his town. And so I think there were a few missed opportunities here.
Aunt Vera used to say, freaks will always find their way home.
Michael goes on a side quest of revenge for his dead mother because he goes and he pays a visit to the boss, the owner of this strip club that his mother worked at for no reason. Interrupts the dude having sex, and then the dude does some stupid shit where he pulls out a gun, but he walks up close to Michael, and then he gets his arm broken in the most hilarious way. It's just a funny scene to me because he's screaming and crying all weird.
I'll fucking blow 2 holes right through your fucking mask. I've been a man. I'll take you out. You hear me? I'll fucking...
It's kind of a goofy scene to me, and you know, the stripper, she's naked, and Michael shows up, and once he bashes her head into the glass, that's when I'm like, okay, this is some gruesome shit. Then the evolution of Michael continues when half of his mask gets ripped off, and so now half of his face is showing, and then that's when I'm like, this is a completely different Halloween movie than what we have ever seen before.
Oh, I almost forgot.
Look, man. Don't give me no reason. You filthy, dirty hippie.
Then we get this really nice scene where Loomis is at his book signing and he meets a weird character.
Chet, the bringer of death.
Okay.
That's Chet with 2 T's.
Daddy's little Pookie would never see something.
But then shit gets real when Linda's father comes in and he shows Loomis a picture of his daughter, and then he pulls a gun on Loomis and he accuses Loomis for profiteering off of the misery of others, including him. And this gives Loomis a moment for self-reflection, and then his publicist gives him a word of advice. And so at this moment, you can tell he's having a moral dilemma.
These are people's lives you're toying with. There's going to be serious repercussions.
And then we have a scene where Laurie goes out and purchases Loomis's book. Why didn't she have a scene or a couple of scenes with Loomis before the end? I do not know why, but she goes and she buys the book, and then she learns that she is the daughter of Deborah Myers, and she is the brother of Michael Myers, and these startling facts turn Laurie's whole world upside down.
I'm Angel Myers. Michael Myers' sister.
So once Laurie vents out her frustrations to her friends, they decide to go to a party, and that's when things get very odd, because then all of a sudden Michael shows up and kills one of Laurie's friends, and then he disappears, and it makes no sense, because then it's like, how did Michael even know that that was Laurie's friend in the first place, because they've never met? I guess it's the psychic link that Michael and Laurie share, which is just kind of weird at this point, because all of a sudden Laurie sees her mother and a young Michael in a vision or in a hallucination, I'm not sure, and then fake fantasy Michael comes out and grabs her, and then she starts freaking out, and the only thing I'm thinking is, if Michael was out there in the parking lot, why didn't he just walk into the party and kill Laurie? None of this makes any sense.
His new book, it's called The Devil Walks Among Us, is available somewhere. Please welcome Dr. Samuel Loomis.
Are we talking about the Austin Powers Mike Myers, or is this...
It's over. Then we have one of the saddest scenes in the entire film, where Michael kills Annie. The scene does get kind of dumb, though, because then we're right back at that Friday the 13th crap with Deborah Myers saying, "Michael, have fun." And it's like, this is not Michael Myers. This is Jason Voorhees, but whatever. Then you have Laurie and her friend showing up, and then Michael has his classic Michael Myers moment, walking in front of the frame while in the shadows, when he could just easily attack them right there in the kitchen, but nah, that's classic Michael. He's gonna wait. Laurie and her friend go upstairs, and they find Annie in a pool of blood on the ground. Then one friend goes downstairs and gets stabbed, and then Scout Taylor Compton, Laurie Strode, has one of the most beautiful scenes in this entire film. It really hit me in my emotions. And then also, another beautiful moment in this film. There are lots of beautiful moments scattered throughout here, but another significantly beautiful moment is a scene with Brad Dourif, Sheriff Brackett, when he finds the dead body of his daughter Annie. It's just gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching stuff.
Oh, God. No!
Then Michael Myers bursts through the door and he chases Laurie. And then there's a pretty cool image of Michael flipping over a car, but then there's this silly image of an explosion. And then this whole thing intertwines with the characters involved, where Loomis sees this shit on the news about fucking Michael Myers and Laurie Strode being trapped inside the shack, which just felt forced and unorganic to me. But let's just hurry up and get to the confrontation. Loomis goes to the location and he interacts with Brackett, and Brackett is not happy to see Loomis, obviously. Loomis tries to redeem himself by going inside of the shack. Now, depending on which version of this film you've seen, there are two different endings. There's the theatrical cut, which I prefer, where Michael stabs the shit out of Loomis, and you can clearly see his skull and shit. He's clearly dead. Then in the director's cut of the film, which is the one I don't prefer, Michael and Loomis burst through a wall, and then Michael takes off his mask and he speaks for the first time. And the only thing I'm thinking is, well, shit, man. What was the point of having a young Michael be an interpreter for the older Michael if he was just going to speak by the end of the film? Maybe you're building anticipation, I guess. I don't know. But history shows that adult Michael speaks his first words ever in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Die! And then he stabs Loomis in the stomach, and you don't know if Loomis is alive or dead. And then they shoot Michael, and Tyler Mane does the homeless man dance. And then Laurie comes out, and she grabs Michael's knife, and they shoot her. And the final image that you see is of the white horse and Deborah Myers, and this is what this whole thing has been leading up to. The rage and the chaos has finally consumed Laurie Strode. In the theatrical cut, Laurie lives and she gets put in the sanitarium. The director's cut shows Laurie Strode in the sanitarium, but instead of her being alive, she's actually dying, and this is the final image that she sees: the white horse and Deborah Myers. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is an interesting film within the Halloween franchise. I think that this movie is very beautiful to look at. It's very artistically shot. The musical score is fantastic. The performances from everybody in this film is amazing. I think everybody did their job and they brought their A game here. And then Danielle Harris in here, who plays Annie, did a fantastic job. And I thought Scout Taylor Compton and Danielle Harris played well off of each other here. And all of their scenes, every single scene that they're in together is fantastic. And I just wish they had more scenes together in this film. Like, ultimately, I feel that this film should have been more of a psychological film. It does have psychological aspects in it, but it should have focused more heavily on the psychological aspects. Like, if it were up to me, I'd take Michael completely out of the film because he doesn't need to be here. It seems like everything that's happening with Laurie is in contradiction with what's happening with Michael, because Michael's not really doing anything here. We're focusing on Laurie, and then it's like when Michael comes in, it's just slashy, stabby stuff, which is kind of uninteresting. Tyler Mane as Michael Myers, he does a fantastic job. I love Tyler Mane as Michael. I thought he did a great job in the first film, and he did a great job in this film. He's kind of playing a different character here, even though it is still Michael Myers. The whole homeless Myers getup, I believe it. Seeing Michael be homeless in this film makes total 100% sense to me, because it's not going to be like 007, The World Is Not Enough, where Michael's just going to walk into some hotel room somewhere and ask for a room.
My usual suite, please.
One thing that many people complain about is they didn't like the direction that Dr. Loomis was taken in. And with me, it doesn't bother me because it was kind of alluded to in the first film. It's just that with this, Loomis, he doesn't have any interactions with Laurie and Brackett throughout the film. It's only at the end where they have their confrontation, which is just, it felt forced. So I feel like there should have been a lot more scenes between those three characters just to make Loomis seem like he's more of an important figure than just like some background character, which is what he felt like to me in this film. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, I think that this is better than Rob Zombie's first Halloween film by a long margin because he has a lot of his own ideas in here, and I think Rob Zombie's a very artistic filmmaker, so he puts his artistic stamp on this more so than in the first film. And he delves a lot deeper into, like, you know, psychological aspects of these characters, which is what I enjoyed. It has a lot of beautiful things in it, but then there's also a lot of messy things in it. And it's a Halloween film, and I'm a sucker for Michael Myers, so whatever. That's all I have to say.